All right, so our next speaker is one of our students from the Albert School of Business, Nick Chang. He's going to talk to us about transportation. Nick, it's all yours.
Hi. All right. So, everyone knows the feeling of gridlock on Denny or the I-5, the agony of inching through the cities, stop and go over and over. Everywhere we look, cars overcrowd our streets, but the numbers from around the world suggest that the problem of traffic is actually a lot more harmful than we can merely see. Traffic has been silently poisoning our quality of life right before our eyes, but the solution is also a lot easier than we think. I'm Nick Chang, Senior Business Analytics student at Seattle University, and this is the data behind cars in public transit. In 2018, transportation was the single largest producer of greenhouse gases according to the EPA. Of that sector, light duty vehicles, including personal cars, made up 60% of the emissions. In addition to greenhouse gases, they also emit tire dust, synthetic fluids, carbon monoxide, and other uh, noxious particulates that contribute to the problem of urban air pollution more generally, which, according to the World Bank, is responsible for 800,000 early deaths each year. Through the lens of big data, we can see the problems with the personal vehicle are systemic, and they can't be fully solved by hybrids and electrics, though those are part of the solution. The issue lies in the equation we call passenger mile efficiency, the amount of energy that it's going to take, no matter what the source is, to move one person 1 mile. On the scale of a society of 7 billion people, it becomes more important to consider passenger capacity in addition to energy efficiency. The average American car requires 3.1 megajoules to move one passenger 1 mile. An electric car takes about 0.78, and that's actually better than the current US rail efficiency at 2.7. But capacity wise, as I mentioned, US rail vehicles are almost always mostly empty, so their more powerful engines make them less efficient, spread out by fewer people. But if you were to spread out the engine's energy use over the train's full capacity, the per passenger emissions have the potential to be far smaller. For example, Japan's JR East, serving the Tokyo and surrounding cities, averages 0.15 megajoules per passenger mile, over 5 times more efficient than the EPA's reported most efficient electric cars. Think of it a different way, perhaps. Assume the emissions of a Link light rail in Seattle is a fixed number, but each of the 360 passengers takes one car off the road. The fixed amount of emissions could be a lot more than one car or many cars, but it won't be more than 360 of them. But let's put that all aside for a second. Assume climate change is no longer an issue. Cars still exacerbate all kinds of secondary health problems caused by stress, sedentary lifestyles, and accidents. An average of 37,000 Americans are killed in car crashes each year, while a bus makes you 10 times safer and a train 30. The nature of the personal vehicle is such that every person has a different route. You see, when you have a city road of thousands of people, all of these paths are going to come into direct odds with one another. This is inherent. This is built into the nature of the vehicle, and it makes it an inherently hostile, more adversarial form of travel. It's no wonder 82% of Americans admit to having road rage in the past year. Transit, on the other hand, allows us to share a common space with many walks of life. It reminds us that we all go to similar places and that we have a certain responsibility in respecting one another's spaces. But let's say you already take the bus while you can. What else is there to do? So public transit still does have many issues, and it's holding a lot of people back. It primarily has to deal with coverage, security, and cleanliness. You can directly contact the city council or our congresspeople, um, voicing your support for transit funding or whatever current ballot initiatives may be out there. I have contacted, if you live in the Capitol Hill area, our Councilwoman Kashama Sawant on the issue. And I didn't get a response this time around, but a couple months ago on a separate issue, I received a very quick reply. So the city council is responsive even to common people or students even. But most of all, the best thing you can do for transit is to change the paradigm. Too many see transit as the low class last resort for people unable to own a car. By explaining your decision clearly to others, you help reshape the image of transit from an act of poverty to one of responsibility. You taking the bus or the streetcar was never about the statistical optimality of it all, really. It was about the higher calling we all have to keep the streets clear and the environment clean. And that implies a deep sense of duty and purpose to the people around us. And that, to me, is something worth getting on board with. Thank you.